Right, so right now I want to call up our panel from District 6 to come on up to the stage. Let's get this started. And as they're coming up, I'm just going to say that District 6 is home to 39 schools. They serve Hamilton Heights, Washington Heights, and Inwood of New York City. Very, very diverse community that they have there. And again, it's led by Superintendent Manny Ramirez. But in our place today, we have our wonderful team here, and we're going to launch with the video, but I'm going to turn it over to this amazing team now. All right, I'm going to have you each introduce yourselves too, okay?
Yeah, I will for that.
Got it?
Are you ready? Are you ready for the video?
Yeah,
Is the video ready?
yeah, the video should be ready to
Okay.
launch that.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. So District 6 is extremely pleased to be here. It is my honor and privilege to represent the district. My name is Rosa Argelia Redondo. I am the proud Deputy Superintendent of District 6. I've been in District 6 for over 30 years. So I say that with a lot of love. I've done every position possibly except superintendent, and that I don't want. So it is also my pleasure. Manny Ramirez, our superintendent, who's very charismatic if you don't know him, fortunately, actually, is on paternity leave. So he's home playing with a baby, a brand new baby boy. So he did send a video message. So we're going to run that now for you. So our superintendent, Manny.
My name is Manuel Ramirez. I am the superintendent of District 6 in New York City. Well, STEM has traditionally been regarded as a separate entity in academics, a robotics class, a coding class, an after-school STEM program, or sometimes just teaching subjects separately. There's a science class here and there, 90 minutes, math blocks, and sometimes little focus on engineering or technology within the curriculum. I mean, that's not to speak negatively of it or its inception, but as with all things in science and history, we try, we wait, we learn, and we modify. So after attending the 2019 Global STEM Leadership Summit in Orlando, right before the pandemic, we realized that it was time to modify. But not to modify things, but mindset. And that begins with our own mindset. By moving towards integrated STEM, we will take what we have learned through this curve and use it as a fuel to make it a seamless integration of content and practice, creating a joint learning experience for our students. So the first part of this process included the engagement of all 39 schools within the district to identify their long-term goals for students in grade K through 12. Principal Olga Quiles will further talk about the history and the creation of the District 6 iSTEM Steering Committee. Our vision is to include teachers, community organizations, families, and all together to identify the educational needs and what it takes to go from what we currently know as a STEM and integrating it into every unit and every subject, thus iSTEM. Then we need to identify resources needed to bridge the gap between STEM and integrated STEM. Finally, to provide quality professional development for our administrators, teachers, support staff, in order to create that clear trajectory and common path. Principal Washington Hernandez will talk about going through the process and of looking at the mission and the vision of every school and creating that action plan. Work that we're currently doing in partnership with Sal and Kelly. The plan is for every school to have the opportunity to create a mission and a vision for integrated STEM. Although each mission and vision reflects the unique values, goals, and uniqueness of every school, we are all united under our District 6 belief that in order to promote critical thinking and ignite passion for learning, we have to go beyond improving science, mathematics, and technologies as isolated disciplines. We have to integrate technology and the engineering process into all areas of the curriculum. So as a district, we secure funding through the National Inventors Hall of Fame for hands-on activities that focus on topics such as animal habitat, aviation, design thinking. Even though schools ultimately implemented the activities, all students were building, innovating, making connections, and most importantly, finding joy in their learning educational program. Furthermore, through other generous grants, we were able to launch robotics education program in all our schools. And what is great about robotics is, aside from the engineering, the coding, and the real-world problem solving, it requires collaboration and teamwork. So in order to further motivate our students and our families, we organized a district-wide STEM Expo this year to showcase our students' work. Principal Tim Sigerson will further speak about this event. There is no one way to do this work, but one thing we have learned from the pandemic is the value and the limitation of technology. Integrating technology into all subjects ensures that we can meet needs and abilities of all our learners. It personalizes learning and facilitates creative and flexible thinking and knowledge construction. As technology continues to evolve, we continue to embrace it as an essential tool for influencing and engaging students in STEM. Principal Aaron Stevens will then share a little bit more about his school, and he will share about our path forward as a district. This pandemic also reminded us that there is no substitute for in-person learning, for the connection and relationships that are built among students and students with the teachers. Integrated STEM is about using those relationships to deepen one's learning and understanding of the world through collaborative problem solving, teamwork, and shared responsibility for overcoming challenges. The students learn multiple perspectives, communication, and leadership, and learning becomes a discovery. I hope you make today a day of discovery for you. Thank you.
Thank you. So as Kelly and Sal mentioned, District 6 has been working collaboratively with STEM Happens. And it's true during COVID, we did pause for a second. We were all kind of in shock, right? But then actually our iSTEM team continued to meet with Kelly and Sal. We developed a vision and a mission for the district in terms of what we expected for iSTEM. And as Manny mentioned, the most important thing is the integration, but opening opportunities and providing our students with multiple opportunities to show their experiences and their intelligence in whatever ways, right? Because we are a community of a lot of L's, the second highest in the city, and a lot of special ed students as well. We get students from all countries in the middle of the school year, so it is important to recognize that our children have experiences and intelligences that are not necessarily measured or evident in daily instruction. So this is one of those vehicles and one of those opportunities to let our students shine and prepare them for a future that we're not even understanding ourselves, right? We really don't know what skills are going to be needed for the future. So with that said, it is my pleasure to introduce the iSTEM team of District 6, Olga Quiles from 328, one of our middle schools, Washington Hernandez, who you heard speak yesterday. He's one of our PS8 in one of our elementary schools. And as we mentioned, we have 39 schools ranging from 3K to 12. And Tim Sigerson is our principal from the College Academy, one of our high schools. And Adam Stevens is another elementary school principal, PS4. And the other thing I will say to you, if you do not know Washington Heights or District 6, we have a wide geographic range. And Inwood is extremely different in terms of socioeconomic status, ethnic makeup, than the schools are lower spectrum, 192, PS 28. So we really cover a large range geographically, but also in terms of social makeup of our students. With that said, I'm going to turn over to Olga. Thank you.
Good morning. Wow, sounds like a lot of you had a rough night. So I'm going to date myself a little bit. How many of you remember the old chalkboard, the blackboard? Yeah. Then they got fancy and they changed it to green. Remember that? Yeah. So in my day, remember how we used to clean the blackboard with the erasers? The best part was how we cleaned the erasers. Does anyone remember how we used to clean? And at the end of the day, we went home all covered in chalk. Yeah. So Superintendent Ramirez began his quest for change in District 6 by making sure that we eliminated all of the blackboards and chalkboards in our district. So whenever he would visit our schools, we would make sure that those blackboards and green boards were not hidden, but they were covered up with, or replaced, better yet, with whiteboards. So that was one of the first things that he made sure that we improved. Moving forward, he then expanded all the bandwidth for Wi-Fi in all of the schools in District 6. That way, all teachers can deliver instruction at the same time. We were having a major issue, whereas teachers were trying to deliver instruction using technology in the classrooms, and most of the time, students were not able to log in because the bandwidth, we were not able to function. So that was one of the major accomplishments that we were able to successfully change due to Superintendent Ramirez's change and fierce fight for our district. Next, Mr. Ramirez, decided that that wasn't enough. So moving forward, he made sure that all schools had smartboards. So district-wide, he applied for a grant to make sure that every school and every classroom had a smartboard. So that when that was accomplished, we all had smartboards. Now, my school, we were ahead of the game. We had whiteboards in every classroom, and we had smartboards in every classroom. And as a principal, I was like, every time I was getting my MPPR and Mr. Ramirez or Ms. Arredondo were coming over, I was like, I'm gonna be great, this is gonna be good. Of course, Mr. Ramirez always found something else that I can improve on. You need air conditioners, get air conditioners, but that's another story. The problem that I was facing was that my teachers were using these wonderful smartboards to hold up those yellow chart papers. Even though I spent so much money on PD on how to use the smartboard. I had a few, teachers, and they're here in the back, they're gonna present, who knew how to maneuver the smartboard, but not every single one. We have teachers who have this fear of technology, traditional teachers. So how did I, get them to change that mindset? And that's where I started to think, and I was like, well, one of the biggest issues was that I realized that while we were changing out the instructional furniture of the building, we had not focused on curriculum and organizational structures that supported teachers' understanding of how to teach in teams, where content stacking would be integrated. Although educators are aware of the importance of STEM education, they lack the understanding of what STEM education should really be about in K-12 education. One big misconception about STEM education is that it is just about science. That's when I realized that I needed help. So that's where Dr. Hernandez and Kelly came in. Yeah. And we started working together. Superintendent Ramirez, after assessing his schools, recognized the need for a District 6 STEM committee. He selected the members based on where we were in terms of technology in our schools. So that he made sure that the committee was well-rounded to ensure that every type of school in his district was well represented. So we have elementary principals, we have middle school principals, and of course we have high school principals. And now I'm going to turn it over to Washington, who will continue explaining our journey as the STEM committee for District 6. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So just before I talk about our mission and vision development, someone recorded my video, my speech yesterday, and I shared it with my kids. And they heard the dad joke. And they begged me not to open up with another dad joke. So unfortunately for you guys, or fortunately, if you were expecting another dad joke from me today, because of my 3 children, they said, no, Dad, don't. So I'm gonna go right into how we worked on our vision and our mission. So but I'll be presenting at the piazza later on tonight. 7 p.m. So Mr. Ramirez, Superintendent Ramirez, came to us, and he saw, as he visited every school in the district, as superintendents do, and he identified schools in our district that were, I don't want to say ahead of everyone else, because then that, we don't want to seem like it's a competition within our schools, but just the schools who had a little bit more of a grasp on technology in their buildings, or had more resources, or had used their resources differently. And the committee was formed. And if you want to go somewhere, you have to have a mission and a vision, right? Or vision and then a mission on how to get there. And we needed a District 6 STEM vision. But before getting a District 6 vision, we need to see what was the vision of all of our schools in terms of technology, in terms of science, mathematics, engineering, STEM. So instead of creating a vision that the district was going to say, here's our district vision, now all schools, you follow this. No, we asked all of the principals, what is your vision in your school for STEM? And when principals started sharing what their visions were, we started looking at all the commonalities that all the different schools had. And there were some schools that just, honestly, I'd be lying if I told you that all 30 schools had a STEM mission and vision, right? That wasn't the case. But we took all of the commonalities between all of the schools, and in collaboration with Sal and Kelly, got together, and then we hashed out putting them all together and getting a District 6 mission and vision for STEM. So now, here we have this mission and vision. What next? Got to put it into action, an action plan. So again, with the help of Sal and Kelly, we partnered with them, and some schools, not all of them partnered right away because not everyone was ready to do the work. And Sal and Kelly have gotten into the schools to implement, to create action plans with those schools and to put it into motion, to put it into play. You're gonna see some of that work with Olga School and Adams School later today, the work that came from those action plans. So what I wanna leave you here with is, this takes work, and it's not something that's gonna be a top-down. Superintendent Ramirez did it bottom-up. He asked all of the schools to share what they were already doing, put all of those thoughts and ideas together as one cohesive District 6 mission and vision, and then the action plan. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when we had a few schools that we were considered, moving in that direction, I would say the vast majority right now of, if not all, of our District 6 schools have some sort of STEM work. Now, we're moving towards the integrative STEM work now, right? Because my school included, we have a coding and a robotics club, but now how do we get to integrate that work throughout the school day? Because we had to start somewhere. And now when we have that, I have a team of my teachers here today who have been leading that work in our school, and it's my hope that they take that and share that with the rest of their colleagues, and then also now take that time. Remember I said yesterday, principals have to give time to their teachers on how to create those units of study, those project-based learning units, because it's not gonna happen if we just say, here, run with it. So that's how we created the STEM mission and vision for District 6 and how all the schools were a part of it. Now I'm gonna pass the floor on to Tim, our high school principal, to show you where we're at as a district right now. Thank you.
So the real question is, how do we change the slide? How many of you were here in Orlando in 2019? Nice. Do you remember Chip Heath, The Power of Moments? He wrote this book and he spoke so eloquently about how taking on STEM as an initiative is so hard, but if we take on it in moments, then it becomes very powerful, and we have to create these powerful moments. Now again, by a show of hands, how many of you would buy a stick from me for $65? I see no hands. I'm not sure why. I went to Universal with my family, and I got to experience how a powerful moment can now transform a stick into something that they refer to as a wand, through a story called Harry Potter. Now, if you know this store, I believe it's called Ollivander's, they selected her, and they built up this whole story that she couldn't just select the wand selected her. And my pocket became very empty. The reality is, it was just a stick. But the story that she held with that was this powerful moment that this stick chose her. Now, arguably, we do not have the budget of Universal. So how can we do this in schools? We created something called the STEM Expo. And I would argue that although we did not leave the kids with a stick, we left them with a different way of thinking. We left them with something much more powerful. I can tell you right now, I go home and I go to my daughter's room and I don't even know where that stick is. But when I look at these pictures of the STEM Expo that we had, I can see thinking become visible. I can see how they've poured hours and hours into their thinking and how they've been able to move simple things. Me and my team are currently reading a book called Making Thinking Visible. This really is the book, the STEM Expo. I believe this is your school, Washington, right? There were over 500 people there, 39 schools. I think there were more District 6 schools that came that weren't even part of Manny's district. But because of Manny's leadership and Rose's, we were able to put this together with our measly budgets. Look at how many people were there. Look at how powerful that was. This is how we introduce STEM to our community. This is how, and this was not a competition. It wasn't. We championed this with New York City First Robotics, with the help of Michael Ziegman. But we didn't get here just with them. We didn't get here with some of our budgets from the schools. We got here because we had a vision and a mission that Sal and Kelly helped us form. And we got here with that kind of leadership right there. But where are we going next? I believe I passed that off to Adam Stevens. What's the future?
We're having STEM in action right here as we turn on the mic. Give me 1 second. Maybe I'll use this. All right, we're here? Okay. So, my name is Adam Stevens, and I am the proud principal of PS4. That's my team right there. Could my team please stand up? Could my team please stand up? They're like, oh no, I can't believe he's doing this to us. Right there, there we go. So I have to share with you that I'm fired up and ready to go. Remember President Obama? Oh, you guys already forgot. President Obama used to say, I'm fired up and ready to go. So I'm going to walk down here carefully, and then I'm going to do what teachers do when they want to make sure you're paying attention. I'm going to walk amongst the audience while you're on your computers or whatever you're doing and get intimate with you, because this is what we do. This is what we do, right? I got into my hotel room Sunday night, and there were 2 bottles of water. These 2 bottles of water reminded me that I was at the Portofino. I saw my wife go towards the bottle of water, and I grabbed both bottles, and she said, what are you doing? I'm thirsty. I said, I'm going to help both of us right now. And I opened the safe in our hotel room and put the bottles of water in there, in the safe. Now, you know you all were thinking about doing the same thing. But I got to go back and take it out before we leave. So my son said, what is that? I said, it's a safe. He said, what does it do? And I said, it keeps things safe. This whole time, he's been trying to figure out how to get into the safe. It's been his little project this whole time. We have realized that one of the best ways to get young people to pay attention, to be engaged, to find something interesting, because they're curious all the time, is through STEM and through projects that they do, right? We give kids projects. Now, something that's even more powerful, I'm sure he's still trying to figure out how to get into the safe right now. Something that's even more powerful is that we all went through a pandemic. And when this pandemic happened, we thought the end of the world was coming. Seeing each other like this is amazing. But I saw a different world. All of us saw a different world. In fact, I lost my brother in that world, right? For us to be gathered here today is an amazing thing. The other day I met someone from Colorado, someone from Kentucky, someone from Jacksonville, and as we're talking and having these moments, I'm looking at this situation like, wow, our worlds are so different, right? The things we're talking about, our worlds are so different, and I'm just like amazed. But the thing that does bring us together is our love for children and our love for education. You're not in here to hear Bono, right? You're not in here for some rock concert. You're not in here, you're here because of education and love of young people. Now let's talk about STEM. Our superintendent, Manuel Ramirez, saw in full transparency that STEM was something that was not my strength, all right? I went to a small school in Maine called Bowdoin, and at Bowdoin I was a history econ major.
And then I worked at JP Morgan. I was a banker. So now you go from something like that into education. How do you get people to believe in something that they might not even know about? Is to have them experience it. So I started to experience STEM through different experiences that weren't always clear. For example, we came to this conference. I was amazed by what happened at this conference. And I'm hoping that I get an opportunity to not only leverage this experience that we're having right here. This is my professional development. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it is from you all that my team and I are going to be able to share some of these ideas that are in this room to move our students forward. That's it. The answer is in this room. The creativity is in this room. Projects, problem-based learning or project-based learning is the way we're moving forward. That's what we're trying to do. We have amazing people here, that's right, but we're gonna learn from each and every one of you because this is where the work happens. STEM happens, right? STEM happens, helped us move some of this work forward. And it was amazing. We participated in a year-long series on Saturdays. Could you imagine asking your teachers to get up on Saturday to participate in a professional development? Well, they did, this group right here. But if you're all here, then you all believe in the same thing. I'm going to conclude with what I'm saying with this. The world didn't end, but I believe it didn't end because we had people who did something. This vaccine that came out, that all of you have, that was a part of STEM, right? Do I believe in STEM? Of course I do. My superintendent said, Adam, STEM is the future. STEM is the future. And we have no choice. This is the way of the world, and our kids have to be prepared for it. And then yesterday you heard our boss, the chancellor in New York City Public Schools, talk about how STEM is the mechanism, the vehicle by which we're gonna move some of this work forward. So I know we're different, and I know you're hearing New York heavy. But remember, New York went through an experience during that pandemic, right? Unlike any other. New York was going through it. Now imagine still doing this work during a pandemic. We're here because we have a little something to share. Not because we know more, but because we have a little something to share from that experience. And that experience is what binds us together. We're here to learn from one another. I'm honored to be here to do this work with you. I look forward to taking these pictures from the tags that we all have. We're here to just share a little bit of our experience. We're not experts. We just went through something, and we're here to share the good news of that something. So thank you all. We're looking forward to breaking bread. But this is the work. This is what we're doing moving forward, project-based learning. This is the work we're trying to do forward, is get kids to be exposed to something. But more than anything, this professional development. It's what's happening. So thank you for this time, and I look forward to spending time with all of you.